Good morning, music appreciation students. It is Wednesday of week, 14? Oh my gosh, week 14. My head is about to explode. If you can't tell, we're doing this from my car, mainly because Wednesdays are just a terrible day in general. They're one of my busiest days. I'm hardly in my office, so I wanted to get this video out of the way. And I've got a really long commute to work, so I figured, wow, what a better opportunity. I bought myself a little phone holder, so I'm not holding my phone. I am being safe. It just looks like I'm talking to myself, which I do that in general anyway. So yes, we're into week 14. It's a bit of a funny week because we had the holiday Monday and we had the snow day yesterday. So today is really the first day of classes this week. So with it being a short week, and we're into the Romantic era, which should be chapter 6 of your textbook, I think. Like I said, I'm driving, so I don't have that all in front of me. So the Romantic era, it's a funny era. It's one of my favorite eras because I feel like everybody was essentially just kind of vomiting up their emotions in music. And I don't mean that flippantly. I mean that with a great deal of respect, because some of the most beautiful music, I think, of the Western canon comes from this period, and we get composers like Chopin and Liszt and Brahms, and these brilliant and lush composers. And it's really close to modern day when you look at the time period. I mean, the Romantic era goes well into the 20th century. It kind of comes across. So composers that were alive and composing in the Romantic era saw the year 1900 come into existence, which most of you were still born probably in that century. I can remember my great-grandmother, who lived to be an extremely old woman. She was born in the 1890s, so I always thought that was really cool. But it's an era of tremendous growth in music. The orchestra gets bigger. Most of all of our instruments have reached their modern form, so very few improvements in the actual mechanism of instruments comes after the Romantic era. Saxophones come into fashion in the Romantic era. The piano becomes what it is today, and it's such a bombastic and expressive period, unlike anything we've seen before. The Baroque era was all about these driving rhythms, and then it became very much into dense counterpoint by the end. The Classical era is all balanced and tuneful, all the while sort of skirting around raw expression of emotions until we get to Beethoven, who's really much more expressive. And then we get to the Romantic era, and composers are just laying it all out there for you. One of the composers that is in the slideshow that we talk about is Berlioz, and I love Berlioz and his Symphonie Fantastique because he's just a funny guy, but his music is just stunning. It's thick. He's writing with techniques that people had used before to create interesting sound effects. So this is the first time we get composers who are really experimenting with how can we make sound new and exciting. So really tremendous music from that time period. Then we get into the 20th century, technically next week, right? And then next week will be our final full week of class. So next week you should see the practice final exam go ahead and open again. This is the practice final exam. It's not the final exam. So I invite you to take that practice final exam. It is extra credit, so it'll help your grade just a little bit. And then after that, Thanksgiving week, and then we come back for one final push of classes, and then finals week is the next week. So that means that the practice final probably doesn't open next week. I'll check those dates. Just keep up with the work. I'm giving you full participation credit on most everything, just to kind of help build your test scores up and all of that, so that you know that you're doing well. Other than that, if you have any questions, concerns, or anything, please get in touch with me. The concert papers, you're really quickly running out of time to get those done, so please please make sure that you are on task with that, because you don't want that to sneak up on you and then you miss it. That's a significant amount of points. So if you guys have any questions, concerns, or anything like that, feel free to shoot me an email and I'll get back to you. As always, make sure that I have given you credit for everything you've turned in. I get a lot of emails from a lot of people, and if you have an assignment that you emailed to me rather than upload and you got my permission to do so, and I haven't given you a grade, shoot me an email and say, hey, can you check in on this? Because I'm human. I got a lot of emails to keep track of, and I forget sometimes. Sometimes it gets lost in the mix. So shoot me an email. I'm never offended to get an email. All right? So with that, hope you guys have a great day. Be safe out there. The roads are still pretty nasty. So be safe, and I will see you guys next week. Bye.